And our first speaker is the president of the Massachusetts AFL-CIO. Now we know that we need to put workers first, ahead of the very rich, ahead of the military-industrial complex, ahead of big corporations. And we need labor to lead the way. So without further ado, the president of the Massachusetts AFL-CIO, Steve Tolman.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Remind me to get that now when I leave. It's probably going to fall. Well, good afternoon, sisters and brothers. I am honored to be with you today, and the Massachusetts AFL-CIO represents about 500,000 families. I see one of my vice presidents over there, Mary. You'll be hearing from her in a few minutes. We harken back, if we were to think about a year ago, what was in the White House and what was in Washington, D.C. to where we are now, I'd say we've at least got paddles for the life raft. And I mean that, sisters and brothers. Joe Biden, whether it's his rescue plan, whether it's his infrastructure plan, he's trying to do the right thing. And over the last year, I think we all recognize how important the frontline workers are. How important the nurses, the EMTs, the fire, and the police are to our society. What I love most about the last presidential election, and I think one of the most creative ways to raise taxes, was what Elizabeth Warren said when she said that, hey, I don't want to break the bank, but after $50 million, just give me a penny for every million or something like that, right? Do you remember that? The money it would raise is unconscionable, because the way we live every single week to week or whatever it is, it's nothing like the way they're living. That 1% in this nation is out of control, and we know this, sisters and brothers. And it didn't just start over the last few years. It really started about 45 years ago, in the 70s. And sisters and brothers, why it's so important that we talk about this is there is a direct correlation between the decline of the labor movement and the decline of our American dollar. And they've both gone down about 38% between the last 40 years. That is not what is the word I'm looking for? That is real. It's because of the decline of the labor movement. Now, what's the fix? The PRO Act. Have you all heard of the PRO Act, right? It's labor law reform in America. That's what it is. It's one of the main features, and you talked about workers. But I want to go a little closer to home, because you're going to hear from some great speakers on all the issues federally. But sisters and brothers, there's an issue happening. If I were to ask you how many have taken an Uber, raise your hand. I took about 3. That's it. Well, let me tell you, sisters and brothers, in California, they had a ballot initiative called Proposition 22. They won it 58-42 by deceiving the public. Big money. You know what they spent? Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash? $224 million on a ballot initiative. We were able to spend about $19 million. They outspent us 12-1. They won 58-42. What you want to know and what you want to focus on, what was the question? And think of this. The question was, if an app-based transportation company is exempt from wage and hour rules. And then what they did is they put in the question, they put it on the site, but they'll get some sort of health benefit, some sort of this and some sort of that. But they were BS. They were BS. So that after the ballot initiative in California, 40% of the people in California, when asked the question, thought they were voting for the employees. No, they were all deceived. 40% out of 58 felt they were deceived. I hope I'm not confusing you, because now I'm going to run it right to Massachusetts. These big corporations who want to be exempt from laws, from the wage and hours. Why? They got more money than God, but they want to exempt themselves, just like corporations do all the time. And we need to stand together and say no. Right. Here in Massachusetts, they have a bill in the State House. It says app-based transportation industry are independent contractors. That means no workers' comp, no unemployment, no family medical leave, no health care, nothing. We need to take our nation back, sisters and brothers, and it starts in the states, and fortunately, we have a pretty good delegation. We're fortunate here in Massachusetts. We have a good delegation. So it's in that theme. I could go on, and I'm saying, am I taking too much time? But let me say something, huh? Come on and join us. We need your vote, too.
I gotta get back to work, but I know who you are.
All right. Woo! Let's give it up for this guy. Thank you. So, sisters and brothers, that's only one. Our biggest priority at the AFL-CIO, guess what it is? Wage theft. Do you know that 300,000 people lose nearly $1 billion every single year by wage theft? Whether it's in the field of trades, nail salons, custodians, all different types of corporations. Guess what? Just think for a second. If banks were losing, or corporations were losing $1 billion every single year, sisters and brothers, there would be people on the street with machine guns. But yet it continues to happen to the most vulnerable, and nothing is done about it. We have the bill up there to correct that. I hope you'll write your legislature and legislators and tell them to stand up against wage theft. So I am honored to be with you here today. The AFL-CIO, I'll be candid. Many of our members have sons and daughters are serving in our military. So it's a sensitive issue.
Bring him home!
We'd like to get them home, but they're there now, and we want to balance our support. But I'm going to be candid. That's important to the families, a lot of families that I represent, and many of their sons and daughters are serving in our military. But I get it, because so much is wrong in this nation. But in all of the world, in America, we can change it by working together and by fighting together. And in that spirit, I'm honored to be with you. Thank you all very, very much.